Get ready, like it's a hit. Get ready. Get ready. Hey, check me out. Hey, hope you're ready, cause this the big day. Big players do big things, big things.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Murchie Family Fieldhouse. As we're excited to welcome the newest head coach of the University at Buffalo football program. In a moment, we'll welcome Athletic Director Mark Allnut to the podium to make the formal introduction, and then we'll, following an opening statement from Coach, we'll take some questions here from the audience and the media. Following the ceremony, both Coach Lembo and Mark Allnut will be available for one-on-one interviews just behind the stage here, so we will do that. With that, please welcome to the podium, University of Buffalo Vice President and Director of Athletics, Mark Allnut, to introduce the 28th head coach of the University of Buffalo football program.
Appreciate it. Hey, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Murchie Family Fieldhouse. Obviously warm, 72 degrees in here. So that's why we appreciate being in here today. But I will say this, I want to thank, people for coming out. Obviously, our great alumni, university community, Western New York community, the media, being here, our staff that's here, but last but not least, our student athletes. They had an opportunity to come here for this press conference and obviously be more engaged with Coach Lembo as we move forward. I'll be very quick here, and I'm going to turn it over to the person that really deserves to be introduced and be able to have a great opening conversation and get to know him and his family somewhat. But this business is about people. Plain and simple. I know there's some successful business people that are out here that they'll say the same thing. When you surround yourself with good people, good things can happen. And when the news occurred last week, I immediately went to work in terms of finding who I felt would be the best leader for University of Buffalo at this time. And fortunately for me, being in this business as long as I have, you create a network of people that you can count on, people that you can have conversations with, real conversations with, and be able to get as much information as you can about a particular person. Of course, athletic directors have to be prepared when a situation like this occurs, as I was, and you do. People always ask about the list. Yeah, you do have that list. So that list, obviously changes over time based on the person, where they're at, or their interest, or what we might need as a program at this time. But quickly, within probably 6 hours, Pete's name came to the forefront, and it was an opportunity for me to see if there was mutual interest, and it was, and we went through this process, and we were able to land, on Pete, by the end of the week, and get it all done, finalized on Saturday, and I know it was a whirlwind for Pete and Jennifer, down there, which we're so happy to have you, Jennifer, here today with Pete, to be able to come here, late Sunday night, and we went to work, immediately. And the thing about what I mentioned about people, it's reciprocal as well. And what I mean by that is just throughout our conversations, whether it was through the interview process or when, Pete, boots on ground here, literally, we're working with our people to be able to get everything that he needs, understanding he's going to be very busy. Obviously the next, I could say weeks, I could say months, up until the season, we know that. But in regards to, our staff and our people who have had interaction with him, who've provided the information for him to be able to get started, he obviously sees, how we do things at UB, and I want to thank, obviously our staff for being able to get that done. Some people in particular that I want to thank. I want to thank our president, Dr. Tripathi. He's traveling right now on business, but obviously supportive of this process, supportive of athletics. Couldn't have done it, without him. I want to thank our president's chief of staff, Beth Del Genio, as well, and also our general counsel, Jim Jarvis. But then there's also some internal people from our staff that I truly want to thank in no particular order. But I do see Sharon Sanford out there, our associate athletic director, who's part of that search committee and has tremendous history of this institution, and obviously, knew what our profile of head coach is going to be, was involved in the search process. Eric Gross, our deputy athletics director, being part of the search committee, as well. We have Aaron Stang, who was there, who is our associate athletic director, works very closely with football, is going to be connected with coach here, for a long time. He provided great value. And then last but not least, Deanne Keller as well, our senior associate athletic director, senior women's administrator, who was part of this process. So, I couldn't have done it with those people, so I want to thank them. But, as we move forward, I think the thing that's going to resonate with people is, as I mentioned, this is a people business. And, having somebody that has the ability to relate, has the ability to connect, has the ability to even learn, from each other. A person that, as I talked to Marcus Fuqua, one of our leaders on the football team, we just talked about qualities of coach. You hear the typical qualities, but obviously wanted to make sure that these qualities were reinforced. A proven winner, someone who has been there and done it, someone who has built programs, has been at that CEO level, has had incredible structure, organization, communication. Someone who's familiar with the Mid-American Conference. Obviously, Coach's time at Ball State, again, running another successful program there was a one quality that we had to have. People talk about a player's coach. However you want to define a player's coach, but at the end of the day, how I define a player's coach is where our players want to play, for our coach and want to give it their all for the coach and the staff. We've hit on all these with Coach Lembo. So with that being said, I am enough of me, because this is not about me. It's about us, and it's about our next head coach. And moving forward, in order to make this successful, we're going to need everybody to pitch in. Not just, as I mentioned, about how our staff has been incredible, during this transition time, how our university has been supportive. But, we're going to turn to our alums, we're going to turn to the Western New York community to really go all in on this program. Because as Pete told me, and as I know, and as we all know, this can be a special place, especially as it relates to football. So with that being said, John, hopefully I don't get this wrong, our 28th head football coach, Pete Lembo. You have a hat?
All right, let's do it. Let's do it. Sure. Why not? I like it.
And then it's jersey right here for the.
All right, look at that.
There we go. Oh, well, there we go. Folks always directing us.
Awesome. Okay, good stuff. Thank you so much. All right. Wow, this is awesome. This is very humbling and a little bit overwhelming right now, this turnout today. So thank you so much for coming. If you've done any research on me, my press conferences are generally not short. So I hope everybody's comfortable. Maybe we should have brought a few more seats back there. But you're probably asking yourself right now, I'll get this, I think, pretty sharp blue blazer on. I had a blue tie on. You probably said I went out and had to get that stuff over the weekend or something. But the truth is, about 85% of my wardrobe is blue. So this is going to be a very smooth transition for me. I'm going to have plenty of good clothes to wear for upcoming events. Jen and I are really, really excited to be here. This is an impressive place. The city, the university, the academic reputation, being back in the Mid-American Conference, and the football facilities. This indoor facility, that impressive weight room, that's being built right in front of me here. This is and can be a very, very special place. And of course, I missed those Tuesday and Wednesday night games. You get a little comfortable just coaching on Saturday afternoons and Saturday evenings in the SEC. But far more important than any of those things, it's the people here on this campus and in this community that have me so fired up about this opportunity. When you go through a search process as a candidate, and now on my first 2 days on the job, you find out a lot about people. My dad was a New York City police officer, and I would like to think that I have some of his instincts and street smarts. And I can't tell you how impressed I am with everyone I've met. Their passion for UB, their willingness to help me, to help Jen, to help us get started, it's just been tremendous. Mark Allnut, I can't say enough about him as a person. He's super accessible, he's super approachable, he's very, very committed to UB, and he understands football. He played the game, he's been involved with the game for a long time. He's clearly a great husband, a great father, and a great leader for UB athletics. We have a common background. We both worked at the University of Memphis. And he's already a great partner and someone that I can clearly lean on as we move forward. He's hired a tremendous staff. I told him how impressed I was meeting them via Zoom and through the search process, and now these first couple days here, jumping right in the foxhole and grinding away, and it's been great. You can tell that they are really, really committed to this place and really committed to helping maximize the experience for the student athletes here. It's also been very nice to meet Kate, and I met one of the sons, Jaron. Seems like a great young man, and so you can tell that they're a wonderful family. I enjoyed getting to know President Tripathi during this search, and I'm grateful for his support, both for me and for UB athletics in general. You can tell that he's going to be a great partner for all of us moving forward. So I was just sharing with John on the walk over here about the hundreds and hundreds of meaningful calls and text messages and emails that I've received over the last 3 days. It's been very humbling, and it's been somewhat overwhelming, but it goes to show how important relationships are, and specifically the relationships that are built through this special game that has consumed the greater part of my life. So on Sunday, the phone rings, and I get a call from the guy I believe is the greatest offensive line coach in the history of the game. And he's sitting over there with a UB hat on, I think, right now. Coach McNally, good to see you, sir. So Coach used to come visit us at Elon and at Ball State. And back in the day, a long, long time ago, I used to be an offensive line coach. And I had all these old VHS tapes of Jim McNally, and just would watch them and learn and try to utilize his philosophies and his techniques and his mannerisms and his buzzwords and all that cool stuff. And so it was incredibly special to get that call and to reconnect with him. And Coach, this is your program as much as anybody else's, and we want you around as much as possible moving forward. So thank you for being here today. And that goes for all of our football alumni. I had a chance to talk to several other former players while we were driving to the airport or during the layover on the way up here, getting up here on Sunday night, and just some really cool guys that are going to be a lot of fun to get to know and to have a part of this process with us. But we're ultimately all here because of our student athletes, especially the current student athletes. They're the reason I have a job, and I never forget that. And it's so important that we develop them in a holistic way on and off the field. I'm all about structure, and I'm all about high expectations in all areas. There are no shortcuts. There are no selective areas of emphasis. I expect our guys to be just as driven academically and just as engaged in the community as they are driven to become great players and great teammates. We want our program to be inclusive, not exclusive. We want all of our constituents to feel like they have access and an opportunity to get to know us in a meaningful way. So we'll constantly look for ways to communicate and share our vision for the program. We're definitely going through a transition right now. There are a lot of moving parts, for sure, and there will certainly be some challenging times ahead. But I'm very optimistic about what we can build here, and I'm very optimistic about what we can accomplish here. I'm a humble guy, but please don't mistake that for a lack of confidence. It's going to be a fun ride, and we're going to enjoy the process. Before turning it back over to you, John, and I know you want to open it up for some questions, there's just a couple other people that I would like to thank. I don't think there's any way that I'm here in front of you today if I didn't first get the opportunity to go with Shane Beamer to the University of South Carolina. And Shane's a great person, and many of you know about Frank Beamer, and Shane is definitely Frank's son. They're both great people, and I had a incredible experience the last 3 years in Columbia with Shane, with those players there, with the coaching staff there, our family. Sorry, I'm getting a little emotional right now. But it was a very special time in my 30-plus year career, and you know, it should be hard to leave a place. It should be hard, and it was hard to leave them, but that doesn't temper my excitement and enthusiasm to be here. I also want to thank Lance Leipold, and Lance and I go back to the mid-90s. We had a common mentor, somebody that Lance worked with and that I worked with at Dartmouth College when I was at Dartmouth, a guy named Roger Hughes, and he connected the two of us, and so we've been friends since back in the mid-90s, and our relationship grew during my time at Ball State and when Lance first got here, and we've certainly done a great job keeping in touch. And I know Lance will be a great resource for me. He already has been to a degree. He's pretty busy himself right now too, as he's on the home stretch of recruiting and filling some coaching positions on his staff and so forth. But Lance is a terrific guy, and grateful for him and for our friendship. And then lastly, I want to mention John Steinbrecher, who I was so impressed with his leadership in the Mid-American Conference during my time at Ball State. And John was kind enough to reach out to me on Sunday as well and welcome me back to the league. And just a wonderful guy for the athletic directors and coaches to work with, and just such a great advocate for the league and for college football in general. So looking forward to reconnecting with him as well. So I hope that wasn't too much information, but thanks again for being here, and certainly look forward to answering whatever questions you guys have for me.
All right, well, thank you, Coach. Yeah, if anyone has a question, I know we have some media members. Rachel's back here. Sarah has a microphone. She'll bring it around, so please raise your hand, and Sarah will find you with a microphone, and Coach will answer your questions for you.
Hi, Pete. Rachel Lindsay from the Buffalo News. I've covered UB for the past 6 seasons. I wanted to find out
Nice to
first-
meet you,
Good
Rachel.
to meet you. We'll be talking a lot. First, I wanted to find out, what are your immediate tasks as you take over the UB football program, and what kind of culture do you want to create within this program and within this community?
Sure. Well, this is actually a great time to get here because our players are all coming back into town. So yesterday I had a chance to meet the newcomers to the program, which there are several, and try to immediately connect with them and let them know that I'm sure there's been some angst here over the course of the last week as they were getting ready to arrive here at Buffalo and begin their journey. So I wanted to put their minds at ease. I had a chance to meet some of the families and parents as well of those players. And now the bulk of our team is rolling back into town, and we're going to have a team meeting here shortly, which I'm very much looking forward to. So the ability to meet all these guys, and I think the timing of this couldn't be better, that we're all starting off the semester together this week. Now, that being said, there's a lot of balls to juggle in the air here this week. I've been meeting a bunch of people, both within the program and the support staff and within the athletic department, and feel like you're going from meeting to meeting, just trying to attack the most important things first, which is getting to know all the current staff and personnel, getting to know critical people in the department and what their roles are, and what are the things that we need to do right now this week to get things up and running for these student athletes so that they can begin the semester in a positive way and have a sense of what the plan is going forward. So that's been a lot of the short-term stuff that we've attacked. When it comes to the culture of the program, and hopefully I touched on some of this in my opening remarks, keeping everybody on the same page, I think, is my number one responsibility. So what is the plan? Why is the plan a certain way? Taking input on the plan, because there are players and coaches and support staff that all have some very good ideas, and I want them to have input to make sure that we're not leaving any stones unturned in terms of the decisions that we make. And then ultimately attacking that plan together and making sure that we are literally all on the same page, understand the expectations, and ultimately operating as one. And when you have great organization, great structure, great communication, great relationships, people that want to be here together, it's a lot easier to have success and to have a lot of fun in the process. So the quicker we can pull all of that together and streamline that to make sure that we're moving forward together, you start to feel it turning in the right direction. And so my goal is to do that as thoroughly as we can, but also as quickly and efficiently as we can.
Coach Lembo, Zach Sheldon, Trainwreck Sports, welcome to Buffalo, sir.
Thank you, Zach.
As you can tell from the weather, don't need a Lambo when you can get a Lembo. With that said, college football is an ever-changing landscape. In the time since you've last been a head coach, how do you look forward to using that to your advantage in this new experience,
Yes.
and potentially manipulating that for, a bowl stampede?
Yes. One of the best things that happened to me is going back and being an assistant coach again for these last several years. And let me give you a thorough explanation why I feel that way. I came up through the small college ranks. Every place that I've been has been a do more with less type of environment. And that's a good thing in a lot of ways, because you look for creative ways to get the job done. And I'm very proud of the fact that I've worked at programs where the coaches had to do everything and anything to simply keep the program running day to day. I can remember putting up scaffolding, 3 or 4 stories high at Dartmouth College so that we could start spring ball and have, an end zone camera to film our practices and things of that nature. So you don't forget where you came from. But sometimes when you come up through the small college ranks, and a lot of my career was at the FCS level, and then taking the jump to the FBS level at Ball State, sometimes you don't always learn other ways to do things. You don't always learn what the potential is out there to utilize different resources and creative angles to bring people into your program and different support staff and things of that nature to make the program better. And so for me, these last several years have been like getting a PhD in college football in terms of taking a fresh look at everything from when you practice, how you practice, the technology that you're using at practice, what days of the week you're practicing, analytics. Analytics was something the last time I was a head coach that was just starting to be utilized, and certainly nowhere near to the degree that it's being used today. Some of the technology that has moved forward in the last 7 or 8 years, and being at some places where we were able to effectively utilize some of that stuff, whether it be in recruiting or in game planning or in supporting our student athletes, understanding the workload that they're putting in and the speeds that they're running at practice and all these different things. So there has been a lot that has changed and a lot that has advanced. And I feel like my time at Power 5 schools and Group of 5 schools here the last several years has been very, very helpful to opening my eyes to a lot of new, different, and perhaps even better ways of getting things done. And I've been around some really special people. I know I got emotional talking about Shane Beamer earlier, but I was around Mike Norvell. I was around some first-time head coaches. Shane Beamer was a first-time head coach. And when you have first-time head coaches, sometimes they need somebody to lean on who's been there and done that. And I would like to think for Shane and for Ryan Silverfield at Memphis and for Mike Bloomgren at Rice and so on, that hopefully I was a good sounding board and somebody who is not afraid to share their opinions about some of the experiences that I've had as a head coach and some of the things that we could implement to benefit our student athletes in those programs. So I feel like this is the best version of me as a football coach that I've been in my career on and off the field. And yes, I'm going to have to shake off a little bit of rust moving back to that chair, but it's something that I greatly enjoyed previously. It's something that I think suits me and my skill set. And now the key is just making sure that we surround ourselves with the very, very best group of people that can balance my strengths with their strengths so that we can have the very best group to support our student athletes.
Jonah Bronstein with WIVB. You noted the facilities early on today. I was wondering if you could elaborate a little bit on what you think about the infrastructure here in this program and what you're coming into, how it might differ from other places you've been and elsewhere around the MAC.
Yes, it's excellent. You know, a search process moves fast, and you wish you had time to get up here and do the traditional walk-arounds and, you know, the old school type interviews. But in order to go through a search the right way, which I think Mark and his team did a phenomenal job, getting here Monday morning was pretty much the first time I've been here, and I'm not trying to bring back bad memories, but the last time I was here was 2002 with our Lehigh team, which was a fun night, and I'm not trying to poke any fun at anyone, but I remember the atmosphere that night was tremendous. It was a Thursday night game and a big crowd and a lot of excitement, and so way back when, you know, over 20 years ago, my initial impressions of this place were very positive. But now you come back and you see this indoor facility, you see that impressive weight facility that's being built there, you see how the football facility has been renovated, and it's not just, you know, some places you go and it's just lipstick on a pig, so to speak. Like, this is a legitimate group of 5 football facility that we have here, and I feel really, really good about the ability for our student athletes to utilize it every day and to call it home, and I also feel really good about our ability to bring potential student athletes and their families here and show them that there's evidence of commitment to supporting football and supporting athletics here. So I'm excited about it, and you know, it's going to be exciting to start to utilize this stuff every day.
Hey Pete, Dom Tibbetts, Channel 7 Sports. First off, congratulations. And
Thank you,
welcome to
sir.
Buffalo. I just want to know, it's so early, and I know you're in the transition. There's a lot of moving parts. You've done this long enough to maybe have just a grasp of it, but what is a Pete Lembo identity that you want this team to take from the first day?
Don't beat yourself. In 31 years of doing this, I've seen more games lost because of self-inflicted wounds than games won by doing spectacular things. And I'm not saying that it's not about doing spectacular things, but I think a very cohesive, disciplined, focused, hardworking, unified group can do a lot of really special things just by doing very ordinary things. And to me, you know, one of my mantras is another day at the office. And that's sort of a pretty boring statement, really, when you think about it. But to me, when you just approach this like, this is what we do, this is how we do it, this is why we do it, and we all are on the same page and understand it and can go out there and actually execute it, you'd be amazed at what you can accomplish. There's an old movie from the late 60s, early 70s called Cool Hand Luke. And Paul Newman has a famous line in that movie, and he says, you know, sometimes nothing is a pretty cool hand. And I think there's some really, really fabulous football programs out there and some really great teams and some teams that go to bowl games and go to championships and win championships that don't necessarily do it with a tremendous amount of flash, but they do it with the real stuff. And I hope that I hope we have some flash too, but I hope we can be about the real stuff.
And then one more for me too, following up kind of to what Zach's question was earlier, talking about just the last 5 years in college athletics, really college football more particular. The transfer portal has become such a big talking point. Aside from winning, because I think that's probably the most obvious answer, but what's the key for you in terms of retaining players after they play for you, keeping them out of the portal, and then when you see talent in the portal, what is maybe something you identify as to what wants to bring them here to come play for the Bulls?
Sure. Well, it all gets back to relationships and the student athletes feeling like they're a part of something special, something that's bigger than them, but that they have a meaningful role in, whatever their role may be. I've always felt like the 110th guy on the roster is just as important as the top guy on the roster. Everybody is there for a reason. Everybody has a meaningful role to play. Everybody should be treated with the same level of respect and thoughtfulness and appreciation for what they contribute to the program. So getting back to Rachel's culture question, you want everybody to feel like they have a meaningful role to play and value, and that's a great part of the tone that I need to set every day, and the staff that we put together has to have that same kind of approach when dealing with our student athletes. The walk-on that joins us the first day of school is important, just like the all-conference player. And when you have a tight-knit group, you should be able to coach those guys all at a high level, and they should all value that we're all trying to get better. So my point is, when you build that kind of culture, I believe it helps you retain players because they look forward to coming in the building every day, and they look forward to contributing in a meaningful way. They have a sense of purpose for being here. And we've got to do a great job of developing the guys that we have. Now, that being said, it is a very, very different dynamic these last 3 years. I've learned a great deal during my time at South Carolina about the nuances of all of this. And so in a lot of ways, where in the past you used to take a very long-term approach to developing your team and building your program, there's a lot more change in the short term now in college athletics. So beginning in January, when these guys get back and all the new faces, you know, you used to say it was a marathon, but now it's a little bit more of a race to get everybody working together and to maximize everyone's potential so that you can head into September feeling really, really good about your football team. And even if you do all the right things and a guy has a great experience, there's still a chance that in this day and age that you might lose him. And to me, I think you have to take a positive outlook to that. You can't boo-hoo the things you can't control, but you have to have a plan. You have to do the very best job you can with the guys you have and do everything you possibly can to keep good people around. But then you have to have contingency plans as well to make sure that you are putting together the very best group you can each and every year.
We have time for one more question.
Okay.
Pete, what made UB appealing for you to take a head coaching job? You know, appealing enough to leave a Power 5 program to take this job?
Well, a lot of things, and again, hopefully some things that I touched on earlier. But one thing that we didn't touch on that I will add is that the Northeast and New York State, these are my roots. You know, there was people would joke down in Columbia, you know, I was always the guy who was kind of walking the fastest through the building. Always kind of in a New York state of mind. Always walking with a purpose to get from point A to point B. And one of the things I really, really enjoyed about working at South Carolina was the opportunity to come recruit in the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic area. If I was working at Auburn or if I was working at LSU or someplace like that, I might not have gotten that same opportunity. But because of South Carolina's geographic proximity to Interstate 95 and because so many of their students come from the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic, it made a lot of sense for Coach Beamer to send me to the Northeast to recruit. And it's been incredible to rekindle so many of these old relationships with high school coaches from Boston to Pittsburgh down to the DMV. I feel like at this point in my life, it's about 6 degrees of separation from everybody. And so I was highly energized every time I got a chance to go out on the road recruiting, and to see so many coaches that I've crossed paths with before and recruited players out of their programs before, and some of which even have players that are playing here at UB right now. That really excites me about the potential here, and it excites me about the potential to recruit high school players, but also knowing that there are guys that leave New York State, leave the Northeast, leave the Mid-Atlantic, who may at some point want to come back as graduate transfers or potential transfers, and having those relationships in place with so many of those coaches in this geographic footprint, I think is going to be very, very valuable.
Well, thank you, Coach.
All right.
Just step on the mic here for a second. Coach Lembo will be available for one-on-one interviews with media right behind the stage here. Otherwise, that concludes our ceremony today. I want to thank Coach Lembo and Mark Allnut here for joining us today. And for everyone else, Coach Lembo and his wife Jennifer will be at our men's basketball game tonight, ironically enough, against Ball State at 7 p.m. over at Alumni Arena. So please join us there as well. Otherwise, thanks to everyone for coming out, and go Bulls.